I want to talk to you today about something that's costing you more than money. It's costing you respect, influence, and your future. You see, in my 40-plus years of studying success in human behavior, I've discovered that it's not what you gain that determines your destiny, it's what you refuse to lose. Most people are so busy chasing success that they never stop to examine the very habits pushing that success further away. They're like someone trying to fill a bucket with water, never noticing the holes in the bottom. Let me tell you something profound. Respect isn't given, it's earned. And you can't earn it while harboring habits that silently destroy your credibility. Now, I want you to take out your notebooks, yes, right now. The successful ones are already writing. You see, the difference between where you are and where you want to be is in the notes you take and, more importantly, the actions you make. These 6 habits I'm about to share with you, they're like invisible chains. You can't see them, but they're holding you down. The first habit, and this one's a killer, is what I call borrowed certainty. You know what I mean? It's when you speak with absolute conviction about things you haven't personally verified or experienced. In my early days, I met a young man in Chicago, let's call him Bill. Bill had all the potential in the world, but he had this habit of becoming an instant expert on everything: Bitcoin, real estate, foreign policy, you name it. Bill had an opinion, and it was always stated as fact. One day, Bill was in a meeting with some serious investors. He started talking about a particular market trend with his usual absolute certainty. One of the investors, a quiet fellow who'd been in the business for 30 years, asked him a simple question. How do you know this? Bill fumbled, and his credibility was gone just like that. You see, respect isn't built on what you claim to know. It's built on your honesty about what you don't know. Here's the painful truth. Every time you speak with borrowed certainty, you're writing checks your credibility can't cash. And in this world, credibility is the currency of respect. I want you to start practicing this phrase based on what I've learned or from my experience. Be specific about your sources. Be honest about your limitations. Watch what happens to people's respect for you when you start doing this. The second habit, and this one's subtle, is what I call the urgency addiction. You're always busy, always rushing, always behind. Let me tell you something profound. Important people aren't busy, they're productive. There's a difference. Being busy is a form of laziness, lazy thinking, and indiscriminate action. I remember visiting a Fortune 500 company and watching their top executive. She never rushed, never seemed busy, but by God, things got done. You know why? She understood that respect isn't earned by how many fires you're putting out, it's earned by how many fires you prevent. When you're always rushing, you're telling the world, I can't manage my life. And why would anyone respect someone who can't manage their own time? Start planning your days the night before. Start showing up 5 minutes early to everything. Start building margins into your schedule. Watch how people's perception of you changes when you move with purpose instead of panic. The third habit, and this one's like acid to your reputation, is inconsistency, not just in your actions, but in your standards. You know what I mean? Monday, you're all about excellence. Tuesday, you're cutting corners. Wednesday, you're back to excellence. People don't respect weather vanes. They respect lighthouses, solid, reliable, unchanging in their purpose. I knew a woman in Dallas, a remarkable success story. She started with nothing and built a multi-million-dollar company. I asked her once about her key to success. You know what she said? I decided early on what I stood for, and I never let circumstances change that. Simple, isn't it? But how many of us let our standards fluctuate based on convenience? Your word must become your bond. Your standards must become your signature. When you say you'll do something, it must be as certain as the sunrise. This level of consistency is rare, and what's rare becomes valuable. What's valuable earns respect. The fourth habit, and this one's costing you more than you know, is what I call the validation vacuum. Always needing approval, always checking your decisions with others, always looking for confirmation that you're on the right track. Let me tell you something, leaders aren't looking for approval, they are looking for results. I remember when I first started speaking professionally, I was terrible at it, just awful. But you know what was worse than my speaking? My constant need to know if I was doing okay. After every seminar, I'd be asking everyone, how was it? Was it good? Did you like it? One day, my mentor took me aside and said something I'll never forget. He said, Jim, stop asking for opinions and start measuring results. That changed everything. Instead of seeking validation, I started tracking transformation. How many people actually applied what I taught? How many lives were changed? How many businesses grew? The respect came not from asking for approval, but from delivering value. The fifth habit, and this one's like poison to your influence, is what I call emotional bankruptcy. You know these people, one day they're up, the next day they're down, one minute they're your best friend, the next minute they're giving you the cold shoulder. Their emotions run their lives, and their lives run on emotions. Let me tell you something profound. Emotional stability is the hallmark of leadership. When I worked with some of the most successful people in the world, you know what struck me? Their emotional consistency. Good news, bad news, their response was measured, thoughtful, controlled. I remember watching a CEO handle a major crisis, markets crashing, stock plummeting, media circling like vultures. You know what he did? He walked into that boardroom calm as a summer morning, laid out the facts, presented the options, made the decisions, no drama, no panic, no emotional theatrics. That's power, that's leadership. That's what earns respect. The sixth habit, and this is the silent killer of dreams, is what I call the tomorrow trap. Always waiting for the perfect moment, always saying I'll start Monday, always pushing your dreams into some imaginary future where everything will be perfect. Let me tell you something, respect isn't earned by what you're going to do, it's earned by what you're doing right now. The most successful people I've met, they don't wait for perfect conditions, they create conditions. They don't wait for opportunities, they create opportunities. I met a gentleman in Singapore, fascinating story. He wanted to start a technology company, but the market was down, the economy was shaky, and everyone told him to wait. You know what he said? The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. He started that company in his garage. Today it's worth 9 figures. Now, here's what's interesting about these 6 habits. They're all connected like links in a chain. Break one, you weaken them all. Change one, you strengthen them all. But here's the key. You can't remove these habits by focusing on the habits themselves. You have to replace them with something better. Instead of borrowed certainty, cultivate genuine curiosity. Instead of urgency addiction, develop strategic patience. Instead of inconsistency, build unshakable principles. Instead of seeking validation, focus on creating value. Instead of emotional bankruptcy, invest in emotional intelligence. Instead of the tomorrow trap, embrace the power of now. Let me tell you something profound. Respect isn't something you get, it's something you earn. And you earn it through the small decisions you make every day. The decision to speak truth instead of convenience. The decision to maintain standards instead of cutting corners. The decision to take action instead of waiting for permission. Most people, they want the fruits without the labor. They want the respect without the responsibility. They want the success without the struggle. But life doesn't work that way. Life pays the price you ask of it. Ask for little, you get little. Ask for much, you get much. I want you to do something right now. Take out your phone, open your calendar. I want you to schedule an appointment with yourself 1 hour every day for the next 30 days. This hour isn't for working, it's for removing these habits that are holding you back. Removing the behaviors that are costing you respect during this hour. I want you to ask yourself 3 questions. What did I say today that wasn't entirely true? What standards did I compromise today? What important action did I postpone today? Write down your answers. Be brutally honest with yourself. Remember, the greatest form of respect is self-respect, and that comes from ruthless self-honesty. You see, success leaves clues, and one of the biggest clues I've discovered is this. Successful people are willing to do what unsuccessful people are not willing to do. They're willing to have uncomfortable conversations with themselves. They're willing to admit their mistakes. They're willing to change their habits. The world has enough followers. The world has enough critics. What the world needs is leaders. Leaders who speak truth, leaders who maintain standards, leaders who take action, leaders who earn respect not through position or power, but through character and contribution. These habits we've discussed, they're not just robbing you of respect, they're robbing you of your potential. They're robbing you of your future. They're robbing you of the impact you could be making in the world. But here's the good news, you can change them starting today, starting right now. You don't need permission, you don't need perfect conditions, you don't need anyone's approval. You just need to decide. What I've shared with you so far is just the surface. Let's dig deeper into the soil of success and pull out the roots that are choking your garden of greatness. Let's talk about something few people understand about respect. Most people think respect is about what you do, but I'm here to tell you respect is about who you become in the process of doing. Every action you take is either building your character or eroding it. There's no neutral ground. I remember sitting with one of my mentors, a brilliant man who built several multi-million-dollar businesses. He told me something that changed my life. He said, Jim, success leaves tracks, but so does disrespect. Think about that for a moment. Every time you compromise your integrity, you're leaving tracks. Every time you choose convenience over character, you're leaving tracks. And people are following these tracks right back to you. Let me share with you what I call the respect equation. Now, this isn't something you'll find in any textbook, but it's more valuable than any formula you'll ever learn. Respect equals consistency multiplied by time divided by excuses. Write that down, it's profound. Let me break this down further for you. When I was working with a group of executives in New York, I noticed something fascinating. The most respected leaders weren't necessarily the smartest or the most talented, they were the most consistent. Day in, day out, rain or shine, their behavior was predictable. Their words matched their actions. Their promises matched their delivery. But here's where it gets interesting, and pay attention to this because it's worth 10 times what you paid to be here today. These leaders had something else in common. They understood what I call the 3 territories of respect. The first territory is personal standards. This is your non-negotiable zone. I remember watching a successful businessman turn down a multi-million-dollar deal because one small aspect didn't align with his values. Most people thought he was crazy. 2 years later, that same deal would have bankrupted everyone involved. His standards protected him, but more importantly, they earned him a level of respect that no amount of money could buy. Let me tell you something profound about standards. They're like guardrails on a mountain road. They don't restrict you, they protect you. They don't limit your success, they ensure it. Most people are trying to climb the mountain without guardrails. One slip, one mistake, and it's over. The second territory is professional excellence. Now listen carefully, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think professional excellence is about being the best. It's not. It's about being better than you were yesterday. It's about continuous, never-ending improvement. I know a woman, let's call her Sarah. Sarah started as a junior accountant in a small firm. Nothing special, right? Rohn? Sarah had a habit that set her apart. Every single day she would learn one new thing about her profession, one new regulation, one new strategy, one new insight. Just one. But here's the magic. She did this every single day for 5 years. You know where Sarah is today? She's the CFO of a Fortune 500 company. Why? Because excellence isn't an act, it's a habit. The third territory, and this is where the magic happens, is personal impact. This is about the wake you leave behind you. Every interaction, every conversation, every decision creates ripples. Most people never think about their ripples. They're so focused on their own success that they don't realize success without impact is like a car without fuel. It looks good, but it won't take you anywhere. I want to tell you about a conversation I had with a janitor in a hospital. This man understood personal impact better than most CEOs I've met. He told me, "Mr. Rohn, I'm not just cleaning floors, I'm creating an environment where doctors can save lives." Think about that perspective. He understood that respect isn't about your position, it's about your contribution. Now let me share with you what I call the 4 pillars of unshakable respect. These aren't just principles, they're power tools for building your legacy. The first pillar is intellectual humility. This is the ability to say 3 powerful words, "I don't know." Most people are afraid these words make them look weak. The opposite is true. These words make you trustworthy. They make you real. They make you someone others can respect. I remember watching a CEO handle a shareholder meeting. Someone asked him a complex question about market projections. Instead of bluffing or deflecting, he simply said, "I don't have enough information to give you a responsible answer. Let me research that and get back to you." The room was silent. Then something remarkable happened. The respect in that room became palpable. Why? Because authenticity is rare, and what's rare becomes valuable. The second pillar is emotional intelligence. Now, this isn't just about controlling your emotions, it's about understanding the emotions of others. It's about reading the room, it's about knowing when to push and when to pause, when to speak and when to listen, when to lead and when to follow. I worked with a leader in Singapore, a remarkable woman. During a major company crisis, she gathered her team. Instead of giving orders, she asked questions. Instead of showing anxiety, she showed curiosity. Instead of demanding solutions, she inspired them. The result? Her team didn't just solve the crisis, they emerged stronger. That's emotional intelligence in action. The third pillar is operational excellence. This is about mastering the details while never losing sight of the big picture. It's about understanding that every great achievement is the result of 1,000 small decisions made correctly. I knew a restaurant owner in Chicago. Every morning before his staff arrived, he would walk through his restaurant. He would check every table, every chair, every corner, not because he didn't trust his staff, but because he understood that excellence is in the details. Today, he owns a chain of restaurants across 3 states. Why? Because operational excellence creates respect, and respect creates opportunities. The fourth pillar, and this is crucial, is strategic patience. This is different from regular patience. Strategic patience is about understanding the seasons of success. It's about knowing when to act and when to wait, when to push and when to prepare. Let me tell you about a real estate developer I worked with. During the housing boom, when everyone was buying and building, he was selling. People called him crazy. When the market crashed, while everyone was panicking, he was buying. People called him crazy again. Today his portfolio is worth billions. Why? Because he understood strategic patience. He understood that respect isn't earned by following the crowd, it's earned by having the courage to be right at the wrong time. Now let me share with you what I call the 7 disciplines of respect. These are daily practices that will transform how others see you and, more importantly, how you see yourself. The first discipline is morning mastery. What you do in the first hour of your day sets the tone for everything that follows. I'm not talking about checking emails or scrolling through social media. I'm talking about investing in yourself, reading, thinking, planning, preparing. The second discipline is impeccable communication. Every word you speak either adds to your respect or subtracts from it. There's no neutral ground. When you say you'll do something, do it. When you make a commitment, keep it. When you give your word, honor it. The third discipline is proactive problem solving. Most people wait for problems to find them. Leaders look for problems to solve. They understand that respect is earned not by avoiding challenges, but by meeting them head-on. The fourth discipline is continuous learning. Not just reading books or attending seminars, but applying what you learn. Knowledge without application is like having a library in a sealed room, impressive but useless. The fifth discipline is relationship building. Not networking, not collecting business cards, but genuinely investing in others, understanding their dreams, their challenges, their aspirations, being someone who adds value to others' lives. The sixth discipline is financial intelligence. This isn't just about making money, it's about managing money. It's about understanding that financial responsibility is a form of respect. Respect for yourself, respect for your future, respect for the opportunities that money can create. The seventh discipline is legacy thinking. Every decision you make, every action you take, is either building your legacy or diminishing it. There's no middle ground. Decide that from this moment forward you'll speak only what you know to be true. Decide that from this moment forward you'll maintain your standards no matter what. Decide that from this moment forward you'll take action instead of waiting for the perfect moment. Remember, success is nothing more than a few simple disciplines practiced every day, and failure is simply a few errors in judgment repeated every repeated. It's the accumulation of our daily choices that determines our destiny. So what will it be? Will you continue with these habits that are costing you respect, or will you make the decision right now to change? The choice is yours. But remember this, a year from now you will surely arrive. The question is, where? What will you have built? And most importantly, who will you have become? The respect you desire, the influence you seek, the success you dream of, it's all waiting for you. But it's waiting on the other side of these habits. It's waiting on the other side of these decisions. It's waiting on the other side of this moment. The time is now. The person is you. The decision is yours. Thank you, and remember, life will pay whatever price you have the courage to ask of it.